side and the mountainous region, this beautiful island playing host to Concacaf Nations League this afternoon. It's a gorgeous afternoon for the beautiful game at that. This is Nations League B, Group C, and two iconic destinations of the Caribbean set to match up in a Nations League battle. It's St. Vincent and the Grenadines hosting the Bahamas. Mike Watts on hand. It's hard to take your eyes off the natural beauty of this island and the people who inhabit it. Here today, it's 11 footballers hoping to defend the reputation of this country on the international stage yet again in Nations League. And once they're done, surely they can go back to inhabiting these beaches, those roads. And a look at the Arnos Vale Stadium live now. The teams just left the field. They head back to the dressing room. St. Vincent and the Grenadines prepare to take on the Bahamas in Kingstown. This venue can hold up to 18,000. It'll be significantly less than that on this day. A well-known cricket ground in the West Indies, and one that has been a kind host to St. Vincent and the Grenadines soccer team over the past few years in Nations League. 83 degrees. There is a slight chance of rain, although you look overhead, it appears nary a cloud in the sky. In League B, Group C, these are the two cellar dwellers. The action is already complete for them. No relegation, so this merely a match for pride and to trying to set the tone moving forward. Meanwhile, Nicaragua and Trinidad and Tobago will play maybe the most exciting matchup that remains, with promotion in the offing. A look at previous games for St. Vincent and the Grenadines. 6-1 on aggregate over the two matches against Trinidad and Tobago. They fell. It's a side that did draw Nicaragua. They lost at the Bahamas in their opener. Last three games, this March window and in June for the Bahamas. It's a group that lost twice to Nicaragua by a combined 6 goals. They fell to Trinidad and Tobago by a combined 4 goals. Their win comes from Leslie Saint-Flour's 68th minute penalty in the opener in Nations League B, Group C. Well, it is fascinating for this St. Vincent and the Grenadines team. They've made clear they don't expect anything less than 3 points in this matchup to close out Nations League. And while they will not move down nor move up, the expectations were set by reaching the Gold Cup preliminaries in the most recent edition of this tournament. They will fall short of that, but there is an expectation that with a win today, avenging the previous defeat at the hands of the Bahamas, they could set the tone moving into the next Nations League campaign with their eyes firmly set on returning to the biggest stage in international football in CONCACAF, the Gold Cup. Well, for the Bahamas, that seems a long way away. They've never reached the Gold Cup. They did get to the prelims in 2021 and fell in a tightly contested game to Guadeloupe. Ultimately, both these teams were hoping, despite the fact they got a very unkind draw with Nicaragua and Trinidad and Tobago, two sides that surely expect to be in Gold Cup every 2 years in their group. But they've come a long way in a short amount of time. The prelims are hopefully just a precursor to the future expectations for this country, one that's been playing the beautiful game since 1968 on the international stage, and surely watching intently here today as the side looks to grab their second win in Nations League this year. That is the Bahamas in blue to the right, yellow of St. Vincent and the Grenadines on the left. They take the field. We'll meet the lineups, and we kick off this finale in League B Group C shortly.
ladies and gentlemen, we invite you to please stand for the playing of the national anthem of today's competing teams. We begin first with the national anthem of the Bahamas. And now the national anthem of St. Vincent and
Day in Concacaf Nations League today in League B and League A in particular. The finale in this group, Trinidad and Tobago and Nicaragua at 8 p.m. to decide who moves into League A next year, with it a simpler path to the Gold Cup and the hope of reaching the Nations League final. As remote as it may seem for a League B team, you're just 2 years away from potentially playing for the biggest trophy in the region. All the while, these two sides are assured League B action yet again next year. Here's the lineup that caretaker manager Theon Gordon has put out for St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Cornelius Stewart, Jamoy York returned to the 18 for the group. Cunningham came off the bench last game. Alexander and Francis did not feature in the loss at Nicaragua. They've made a total of 5 changes. The captains meeting there, Cornelius Stewart on the left, and Marcel Joseph on the right. From Mexico, Fernando Guerrero gets the honor of overseeing this match. Karen Diaz, one of the ARs in this affair. A look at the lineup for the Bahamas under Nestle Jean, 38-year-old Bahamian forward who featured for the national team once upon a time. They are entirely unchanged from their 3-goal defeat at the hands of Trinidad and Tobago, in which they conceded all 3 in the first 40 minutes. Joseph captains this side. Ian Lowe in goal, his 6th international cap. Music that's become commonplace, blaring over the speakers, that of the Nations League in Concacaf. Two sides in the bottom half of the FIFA World Rankings, but meaningful football nevertheless. Is there revenge for St. Vincent the Grenadines? Can the Bahamas win their 2nd in the window? There's the opening kickoff, and we begin at the Arnos Vale Stadium in St. Vincent and the Grenadines from Kingstown. It's the Baja Boys of the Bahamas taking on the Vincy Heat of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And the Bahamas push into the final third through Bain. Flung toward Mitchell. Went toward Jazzy, Barnum, Bob. He returns to the team as well. Alexander, Sutherland, Barnum, Bob. Alexander again debuted in a friendly against Grenada last year. Player who featured in the U.S. at Alliance University. A handful of these Vincy Heat players have experience playing overseas in the U.S. The Bahamas have a few as well. Into the width, trio of options, floated across, hit off the post. With a kiss, lands at the feet of Stewart. Barnum, Bob crossing. And a splitting effort from Lowe sends it away for the Bahamas. Recovered. Barnum, Bob sees this pushed away by Ferian Wilson. Carey. Rolled up by Bales. This will be a Bahamas corner. Now the look, Olex Anderson from an acute angle. Lowe backing up. He was waiting to see who'd be on the other side. It nearly caromed into his own net. Marcel Joseph, 3 days shy of his 26th birthday. Joseph. That's going to fall kindly. Bales. Hung just a bit too long. Stewart. Beyond Joseph. Run unimpeded Anderson. Lowe bobbled. Contact from Lowe, play on. Keeper's gotten back to his spot. No VAR, appeal for a handball. The referee from Mexico, Fernando Guerrero, disagrees. And Joseph will allow the Bahama defense a moment of respite. Not what you want to see early, and maybe that's a bit too easy. From Cunningham in the back, going down. A minute touch, if anything, until the follow-through from the goalkeeper Lowe. But nervy moments for the Bahamas. Sutherland. Sutherland, the last goal scorer for St. Vincent and the Grenadines in a victory in Nations League, November of 2019. Here in this venue, 1-0 over Nicaragua. taken by Kanija Joseph. Joseph, too much air under that, beyond Sutherland and Edwards. Tracked by Francis, throw for St. Vincent the Grenadines. You can see the scoreboard aligned for cricket in the outfield. Stadium that opened in 1981. The Players Pavilion visible throughout. Barnum Bob hangs in the air low, content. Low, one save, his second consecutive start in Nations League. Vance Wheaton, Julio Jemison, Dwayne Wiley have all started previous. Wheaton, the most saves in Nations League for St. Vincent the Grenadines, but he begins on the bench. Low playing for Olivet Nazarene University a couple of years ago in the U.S. From Lyford K in the Bahamas. Mitchell. Maybe a bit unlucky to get tied up with Stewart. Same floor. Wilson. Stewart. And Wilson recovers. Mitchell. Joseph late. Alexander recovered for St. Vincent the Grenadines. Jazzy Barnum Bob. And stripped from Joseph. Approaching the end line, that's beyond the bounds. Quentin Carey. A letdown for St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Cunningham pressuring. Lost by Julmus. Edwards, player of grand renown. At this stage, the player highest on the totem pole in terms of value by transfer market. Featuring for Tab Ramos, Hartford Athletic. Former Dynamo head coach, U.S. Youth National Team manager. Of course, a very good player in his own right. Sutherland. A little slow to that. Barnum Bob took it over and ripped across by Cunningham and cleared. Roland Davis arrives. Stewart, and the header steered over the bar. Alex Anderson, who's bagged 8 goals in his 20 appearances. Someone for Lowe to be concerned about today. Swept through for Edwards. 3 options percolating. Edwards, big rebound, good save by Lowe. Caught at the feet of 2 players. Recovered by St. Vincent the Grenadines. That from Sutherland denied. And out to the halfway line. Barnum Bob in behind. Settled and pushed over the line. What scintillating opportunities for St. Vincent and the Grenadines inside a quarter hour. And Lowe, after a poor bobble on the initial service by Edwards, up to the task. Off the corner. You can see why Sutherland scored that last Nations League victory against Nicaragua. He makes himself quite apparent on set pieces and in the run of play, for that matter, in the right moments inside the penalty area. Back to the foul administered on Joseph by Roming, who's playing in Italy at the moment. The lower divisions of calcio football. Alexander short-armed it with the Bahamas here, approaching a quarter hour. Changes to the upcoming Nations League format announced in February, defining that both these teams cannot be relegated to League C. And as a result, the upcoming Nations League campaign will see both sides fail to be promoted, but also avoid the negative result at the bottom of the group, relegation. A few good looks for St. Vincent and the Grenadines early. Barnum Bob curling in behind. Applause for a well-efforted ball for Alex Anderson.
Yo, short passes and relax. Pass and move, pass and move.
Francis. Stripped by the Bahamas. Rahming certainly looks the part in midfield. Edwards. Edwards. Free kick won by Rahming. Debuted in Nations League qualifying, the 23-year-old, back in 2018. Part of the I2I Academy in England. Castellaneta Calcio in Italy since late last year. Stewart, what a run by Stewart. Finally he's impeded and he commits the foul. Final intervention from St. Fleur. All-time leader caps and goals for the Bahamas. 30 and 12 respectively. Well done by Bain. Cunningham. Sutherland. Barnum Bob. Away by Mitchell. Barnum Bob once more. Arms extended. Marcel Joseph sliding in and making peace. Stewart. Hung in the air, header cleared off the line. Lowe pursuing still, now he's recovered. Well, it's at best tentative goalkeeping. At its worst, this is malpractice. Edwards sees this cleared off the line. And St. Fleur, who's known for scoring goals, in this instance has saved one. Rolled up by Rahming. This is Mitchell. Back from Rahming. Wilson. St. Fleur. Joseph. Dribbling forward, York. Taken away by Bales, and York retaliates. That's cleared. Still work to be done. Carey got a shot, and now this is sent toward the pavilion. And the Bahamas finally strike back through Christopher Romming. Oh, that is going to get in behind Stewart on the diagonal. Stewart, cut back. Stewart curling. It would have been a magnificent goal. It's not to be. Mitchell got put in a blender. Goodness, what an effort for Cornelius Stewart. Barnum Bob. A familiar, if memorable name in the St. Vincent and the Grenadines team. And a Dulwich Hamlet. Stewart. The return for Stewart, unable to keep it in. Stewart spent time in the Vancouver Whitecaps residency. Went to Trinidad and Tobago, Finland, India, the Maldives. Finding his way back here to St. Vincent and the Grenadines yet again. Most prolific scorer for the national team in Nations League. Quite the run, Anderson. A corner for all that work. Ball across, rising up Sutherland.
Let's go, let's go!
Ball served again, and header back across the face of goal. That was nearly disastrous for the Bahamas. And Rowan Davis just got spared his blushes in a major way. But the Vincy Heat are turning the heat on.
Top man! Top man! Top man!
Chevelle Cunningham was lurking yet again along with Anderson. Put in play here for St. Vincent and the Grenadines. That's a handball and a free kick. It is outside the penalty area. So while Bales probably doesn't care for the fact that, yes, he was trying to defend himself, it is outside the area by a matter of a foot maybe. Take a look. There's a good argument for Bales to say his arm wasn't unnaturally away from his body. Nevertheless, he was clearly outside the penalty area, and the mark that they've put it on appears exactly right. Watch out for Barnum Bob. He could go directly for goal here. There's two in the wall. Lowe does have his eyes that direction. Barnum Bob curls. A wave from Lowe. Headed back in play, but too late. And a corner for St. Vincent the Grenadines with the wind blowing back at the goalkeeper. Oh, whipped in again, and Lowe racing back, and now he's able to punch it away from that near post. Furion Wilson was put in an unenviable spot, and it just hasn't been all that crisp from the Bahamas inside their own penalty area to this point. Not from the goalkeeper, not defensively. The wind picking up, it is a corner. Stewart further away this time. And Bain, the clearance. York. Alexander. Snuck that through. Edwards. Sutherland. Rahming. Couldn't connect. Approaching the half-hour mark, St. Vincent the Grenadines stridently forward again and whipped out of play with three yellow shirts careening into the action. Olex Anderson going for glory. Well, that is the last person the Bahamas could afford to lose. St. Fleur is up, but moving awkwardly. Never good when your entire shin guard is found the wrong side of your calf. I'll pause here for the two teams. It has been a very transitional game here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. 82 degrees at kickoff. It's the humidity that does a lot of the damage, however, resulting in this cooling break. About 70% humidity at kickoff. That slight chance that we could see some rain later in the day, although it appears more likely to come tomorrow morning. And a 15-mile-an-hour wind. It has the flags in the outfield whipping in all different directions, but largely back toward this near touchline. And chance here for the Bahamas to try and figure this out a little bit. If you're low, it's good that you've been aggressive off your line. Your touches haven't been all that clean. There is reason to believe that he'll be able to find himself here in this final 60 minutes. Then a respite could be a good thing. He's also had a couple of balls angled back at him that are out of his control and were, in the case of the Bahamas, themselves out of control. For St. Vincent the Grenadines, the Bahamians have struggled to string together a significant number of passes into the attacking half. And Christopher Romming, a 23-year-old from Nassau, hasn't entirely been able to put together this midfield. He's been tasked with quite a lot. But they've created, and St. Vincent the Grenadines will try and get a goal before halftime for all the work they have put in. Cooling break was about a minute. Of course, will be added to first half stoppage time. Carey, that's a delightful ball, and punching it away, Chance. And now sent wide with a carom and a corner to come as Julmus into the act for the Bahamas. Ball struck to the top of the penalty area. It's got a lot of bounce on it. It sent Bales backward. Contact in the area. Referee looks. It's offside. Contact now irrelevant. Slid forward. This is creative stuff away from Julmus. He's got it again. Julmus from a tight angle, and Chance scoops it up in front of goal. 8 shots to 3 now in favor of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Possession 60%. St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Effort on frame, knocked down on Olix Anderson's shot at Ian Lowe. Anderson has switched onto this right side, Stewart to the left coming out of that cooling break, which has only just now truly become apparent. Bahamas ceding possession. There's Stewart. Had the overlap, looked beyond it. Powering through midfield by Bales, but behind Edwards. And a tumbling Joseph wins a free kick for St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Through for Edwards. Met by Davis. Off the head of Sutherland. Down by Anderson. Barnum Bob with patience. Stewart overloading now on this right side.
Move it faster, guys!
Through the lines, Julmus, Bales for Mitchell. Edwards sprinting forward, 1 of 3. Sends Anderson. Carey. Well-timed tackle. This is Alexander. Stewart by Joseph. Brought down Edwards.
Second ball.
Pressure from Joseph. York arrives. Play on. Stewart. Ball pulled through by Cunningham. There's good intensity to St. Vincent the Grenadines at the moment. Cunningham over Olex Anderson. That's a wonderful back heel. Flag does stay down. Recovery by Francis. Shoved down by Julmus. The action picks up later tonight in Nations League. 2 games at 6 o'clock Eastern time. Contact here, it continues. It's Cunningham rolling in front of goal and sent out by Davis. The argument with the referee ongoing from Lowe. I'm inclined to agree with the referee. I don't think there's anything there. Same floor hand fighting throughout. Stewart! At the back post, untouched.
Get back.
That suddenly became genuine concern that we could see the Olympico. Would not be the first in this window. And 5 minutes ahead of halftime. The first apparent case of cramp for either team.
Close it up, guys. Close it up. No errors.
Pressure continuing to mount. Anderson for Barnum Bob. Barnum Bob finding Anderson. Cleared out by Wilson. Another corner to come. The Vincy Heat have been the better team in this first half, but they have nothing to show for it yet. Floats over Edwards. He's holding his head. Play continues. And yes, you have to stop play now. Could argue it should have stopped prior. Collision of heads inside the penalty area with so much traffic. That'll be a good look. Colliding with the back of his head, it appears, as he launched up to prevent the Edwards bike. Edwards is back up and thankfully appeared to be smiling there a moment ago. Hopefully a good sign for his continued inclusion. Here on Wilson. He's back up, debuting in this Nations League window for the Bahamas. And here's the restart. So a critical attacking piece on one side re-enters Edwards. Gets an immediate touch on the ball. You see it taken by Joseph. Edwards recovers. And Edwards stepped in on Joseph to take it back once again as we approach halftime at the Arnos Vale Sports Complex. Barnum Bob. Anderson brought down once more. This time by Wilson. Jazzy Barnum Bob.
From now on, the first one is yours. 3. Ollie to Babin. Ollie, drive. Drive, Babin, drive.
The fourth official indicates 3 minutes of added time at the end of the first
3
half.
added minutes,
3 minutes of added time at the end
of which
of
we've
the
played
first
one.
half.
The Bahamas assuredly be happy to head to the dressing room scoreless. Stewart's corner, ricochets. Played inside by Joseph. Anderson. Alexander. Stewart. Stewart's. Anderson and Sutherland were there. Anderson. Another free kick. With another minute to go. Barnum Bob to the back post. A defensive header and a much stronger-willed clearance. Can the Vincey Heat get forward one more time before the intermission? Thrown in by York. Jadil Chance. York. Edwards. Wait from Anderson. Barnum Bob. There will be time for Bales. Julmus brought down. Free kick for the Bahamas, which should be the last chance of the first half.
Number 12. Hey. Number 12.
Same floor. Chance. And no chance of a first half goal in this game. There's the whistle. Well, neither side able to show the really compelling finish in that opening frame. It was better from St. Vincent the Grenadines on the whole. Statistics certainly back it up. And while there have been some concerning moments in the back for the Bahamas, they have been able to stave off the Vincey Heat for the time being. Off to the dressing room, halftime in this League B Group C matchup. St. Vincent and the Grenadines 0, the Bahamas 0. penultimate game of this Nations League in this group, and the granddaddy of them all later tonight. An 8 p.m. Eastern kickoff that's now less than 4 hours away. Trinidad and Tobago will take on Nicaragua to decide supremacy of that group. Meanwhile, in League A, enticing matchup between the United States and El Salvador, with that group still in flux entering the final match day. Here, however, chance to avoid fourth place. There is no relegation. Both sides will be in League B next year. Neither side will feature in June in the Gold Cup nor the preliminaries. A strong first half from St. Vincent and the Grenadines on the whole. You can understand why they've gotten some positive results in this competition, qualified for the prelims last year. A 2-2 draw at home against Nicaragua here. They only fell by 2 goals to mighty Trinidad and Tobago here on their home ground. No one's found it easy. They're playing at Arnos Vale Stadium with the attacking core of Edwards, Anderson, Stewart, and Cunningham. They've been incisive, but they haven't been nearly clinical enough. Meanwhile, the Bahamas are going to hope to finish on a stronger note. The service through, chance. And it escaped the line from Marcel Joseph. Good story, Joseph. Cut from the under-17s. He's turning 26 now in 3 days. He spent some time in the UPSL and the League 2 in USL, which is the American 4th Division. Ultimately debuted for the senior national team 7 years ago, just a couple of years after being cut from that under-17 group. All the while playing for 3 different universities in the United States: Eastern Oklahoma, Southern Wesleyan, and Southern Nazarene. A career for Joseph that now has spanned 8 years in the national team, dating back to that first under-17 cut. Just a couple years later, jumped into the senior team and has not looked back. He captains the team on this occasion. Wide for Quentin Carey. We'll get a second look as it bounces off of Edwards. And the third corner for the Bahamas here this afternoon. The Bahamas did pick up a win against Turks and Caicos last year in Nassau. In a friendly, they beat St. Vincent and the Grenadines in the opener in Nations League B Group C. Driven across by Joseph. Joseph, another look. This time a little more air under the ball. And Julmus went leaping for it. Chance will lead it forward for St. Vincent and the Grenadines. First card of the match, a transitional foul. Julmus forward, checking back. Picks up a 49th minute yellow card.
Wake up, guys, wake up, wake up. Yo.
In the 49th minute of play, a yellow card shown to Bahamas number 9, Wood Julmus. Yellow card.
It was Julmus shown a
Wood
yellow
Julmus
card.
in the 49th minute.
Massey available off the bench, but not starting on this occasion. Into the final third, cut back by Anderson. And thrust away from Joseph, still here through Alexander. And they've brought it back to the retaliatory foul from Kenija Joseph. So you lose the ball. Appear to catch the foot of the leaning William Bales. Vincey subs. Soon to make their entrance, perhaps. Ball across by Chance and Bain. The best look for the Bahamas thus far, and Chance remains down. Appeared to be that trailing leg. Catches Chance on the head. Well, that's good news for St. Vincent the Grenadines. Well, there's the drop ball, play on. Chance remains. 7 minutes into the half. Joseph. That's York. Alexander. Sutherland. Didn't calculate the rub of the green there. Spun through into the final third. Olex Anderson trying to take on all the Bahamas by his lonesome.
Ian, play! Ian! 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 Play! Focus! Focus!
Covered by Edwards, and a foul from Edwards. Quentin Carey played at Carson Newman for a time. Flower City Union up in Rochester, upstate New York. native of Edmond, Oklahoma. Catches the glove of another U.S.-based player, the Hartford Athletic featuree Kyle Edwards. Free kick for the Bahamas. He's looking for that lanky 6'5" Christopher Rahming. Wilson. That's Mitchell. Rahming strikes for goal, chance, the rebound, and it's put home by the Bahamas. But the flag has gone up. It is offside. And the Bahamian go-ahead, not to be. Flag raised by the AR Karen Diaz. And Quentin Carey denied the opening goal. Edwards. Edwards scooping forward, caught by Lowe. Edwards, one of the great stories of that 2021 preliminary round. He scored a free kick goal against Haiti. St. Vincent the Grenadines were hailed locally as heroes for their performance. Think about it in hindsight. Coming out of the height of COVID, an eruption of the volcano here in St. Vincent the Grenadines, they were able to band a team together, qualifying through Nations League to get to the preliminary round of the Gold Cup. They hadn't been to any Gold Cup since 1996, when they qualified as the Caribbean Cup runners-up the year prior. So with all that was going on in the world and on that island, they get a team together only to figure out that they have significant visa issues getting into the United States. They traveled just 13 players. And Haiti was the beneficiary of that moment, at least on its face, going into the match. But it didn't play out that way for the first half an hour or so. It was the St. Vincent the Grenadines team that had no goalkeeper. Nigel Charles was unavailable. Rather played in goal in the stead of the three goalkeepers who were unavailable. Charles helped keep Haiti scoreless for 26 minutes. Forward for Anderson. Anderson cuts across. Caught between the feet of Cunningham. And he has to pull it back. The crowd rose to their feet in unison. Contact, that is a penalty for St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Won by Olex Anderson. And the former Seattle Sounder clipped on his left heel. Has put St. Vincent and the Grenadines in position to take the lead. That Gold Cup preliminary game ended up being a 6-1 loss to Haiti. The result, in many ways, was irrelevant. A great source of national pride. They're looking to get a win to exude that pride once again as they close out this Nations League B campaign. Ian Lowe checks the steadiness of the posts. And the lanky Bahamian goalkeeper stares down Kyle Edwards, a former U.S. 4th Division Golden Boot winner. And Edwards awaits the signal. A reminder not to enter the penalty area. And Edwards, the pride of Hartford Athletic, steps up. And Edwards delivers. And the celebration is on for the Vincy Heat, short of an hour. A 1-0 lead on their home ground. Seeking their first victory in Nations League in this cycle. What a wonderfully taken penalty by Kyle Edwards. And Lowe, despite the full extension, can't pick that out of the bottom corner. And St. Vincent and the Grenadines, who fell to the Bahamas away in the opening game of this group, 1-0, now lead the Bahamas in the finale with half an hour to play.
Goal for St. Vincent and the Grenadines scored in the 64th minute by Kyle Edwards. The score, Bahamas 0, St. Vincent and the Grenadines 1.
Well, you have to think that someone had their finger on that button quite a bit in the first half. Instantaneous music as that ball hit the nylon. And St. Vincent and the Grenadines have something to celebrate here with half an hour to play and still much work to be done. A change en route, that is it for Wilson, the defender. His second match for the national team concludes at the hour mark, and Julio Wilson enters, a 17-year-old earning his 5th international cap, having featured at the IMG Academy in the United States.
Yo, walk up. Second ball. Second ball.
Substitution in the 61st minute.
Bales in pursuit. Instead, it's Edwards leading Stewart. Look at Anderson flying through the middle. Away by Joseph. Barnum Bob. Inward for Joseph. Maintained through the contact from Bain. Into Francis. Fighting away from Bain. St. Vincent and the Grenadines, located in the southeast Windward Islands of the Lesser Antilles, about a quarter of the population of the Bahamas. And yet those who have left the island very much carry their passion for their home quite literally on their sleeve or on their lapel, as it may be. Ball forward for Anderson. He's able to fight free. Anderson for Edwards. Anderson recovers again. And Anderson continuing to fight through. Nothing there. Only to see it pulled back by Joseph. Hangs one up at the back post, and there's Lowe. Anecdotally, I was just in New York City, one of the great sporting venues in the United States, Madison Square Garden. Saw the St. Vincent and the Grenadines flag pinned to the lapel. One of the employees at the arena, which led to a 10-minute conversation about the love of this island and the growth of sport on this island, but also exceedingly growing expectations for this national team. Don't forget, this was a team that took 15 years to really get back into the international game after that Gold Cup appearance. How about these adjustments here? Cunningham coming off, Azinho Solomon coming in. Say that's like for like. And Chance coming off here in the 65th minute. They've switched the goalkeepers. Chance starting in 4 of these Nations League games out of the 6. And Josh Stowe set to come on. He's been on the bench in World Cup qualifying and Nations League for this entire recent cycle. But you have to think this is an exciting moment for Josh Stowe. The 19-year-old goalkeeper steps in here, and Stowe immediately plucks this out of the air. It is his first official match in Concacaf. And featured in a friendly against Dominica and a friendly against Grenada. Both 3-1 results. He won one, he lost one. He enters in a rare feat for a goalkeeper with a lead.
Correction, that's in to replace number 12, Kevin Cunningham. Number 7, Nazir McBurnett.
Nazir McBurnett come in as well. Players featured in the Concacaf Caribbean Cup on a few occasions.
Correction, number 1, Josh Stowe, in to replace number 22, Jadiel Chance.
Clearance opened the door to Kerry. He lost his footing. The attack is on the other way for St. Vincent the Grenadines. Anderson's offside. AR had that right on. Positioning in that moment. It's about 25 minutes remaining. Plundering through midfield Bales. Kept away from Carey.
Again! Well done, Kevin, well done!
That's York. And now Stowe. And Stowe is going to put this out to touch. Stowe leaping off the post and in! The Bahamas equalize with a wonder goal! Marcel Joseph! The young 19-year-old goalkeeper entered into the game less than 10 minutes ago, his official CONCACAF debut. And he's caught ball watching off the post and in on a hope and a prayer from Marcel Joseph. And that prayer was answered.
11, yeah.
And we are on level terms now in the 70th minute. Down into the corner, sent toward the spot. Bounces by Edwards. Anderson recovers. The danger man, Anderson! Corner. Anderson was out of the game for almost 3 years. Was in Tacoma and Seattle, the second division and the first. In the U.S., played 15 games for a team that won MLS Cup, the Sounders, in 2016.
69th minute by number 11, Marcel Joseph. Will score Bahamas 1, SVG 1.
70 minutes gone. A corner for St. Vincent the Grenadines. Well, the nature of this game changed in February. It was highly likely that these teams would be trying to stave off relegation, but that is not the case. Both will stay up. Joseph leaves knowing he's put his team in position to finish third in this complicated group. Michael Massey set to enter for the Bahamas. They brought in Wilson previously, second sub. And the second window utilized. Joseph leaves with quite the memorable goal for the Bahamas.
71st.
This will be a corner
Substitution for the Bahamas in the 71st
of a different ilk. It'll come from this near side now.
In to replace number 11, Marcel Joseph.
Nestle Jean looks on, the former Beach national soccer team and senior national team player. Well, that's telling. They've gone to get in the ball as quickly as they can. The fans that have crowded on the shaded side of this venue, a tad restless. Stewart, up and away by Lowe. Up toward McBurnett. Foul. It was a time where St. Vincent and the Grenadines hailed the best possible draw here. No Haiti, no Guatemala. Bermuda has recruited so well, bringing in players from England and the United States with Bermudian background. And after all, they did fall 10-0 at Guatemala in the early stages of World Cup qualifying. Forward from St. Fleur. Stewart quaffs upfield. Now they're fighting with the Bahamas to avoid finishing last in this group. Edwards finds a pocket. Forward from McBurnett. And Edwards slashing back across the face of goal. resoundingly out the other way.
Hey, Amari, tell him when we defend it, we defend back as a 5, yeah? Yo, we got more!
Stewart drops it back, and now through! Off the outside of the netting. The fans reacted as if that was the moment from Olex Anderson. What a clever combination. Stewart through Solomon and on to Anderson. The foot of Sutherland. Stowe sent this away. He had all the time in the world. Maybe a few nerves for a young goalkeeper thrust into this situation with half an hour to play. And we've crossed that break into the final 15 minutes.
The referee has just indicated there will be another hydration break for the second half. This is the second half hydration break.
Second cooling break at this stage. Temperatures started above 80 degrees and over 60% humidity. And both teams have exerted great perspiration into this game at the Arnos Vale Sports Complex. Did see the Bahamas perform better coming out of the cooling break in the first half, and whether or not that happens again could decide the outcome. All the while, St. Vincent the Grenadines statistically have gotten the job done here today. The scoreline doesn't entirely tell that story now, does it? 13 shots to 4 in favor of St. Vincent the Grenadines. The concluding match in this group comes later tonight. Trinidad and Tobago will take on Nicaragua. Winner of that match surely promoted. Right now, Nicaragua, 1 point advantage. All they need is a draw to move forward. Not only does it come with promotion, it's direct qualification into the group stage of the Gold Cup. It would mean avoiding the preliminary stage altogether. Preliminaries kick off on the 16th of June, all the way through to low. Few teams still unclear at this stage for those prelims, by the way. Cut back angled right to Sherwin Alexander. St. Vincent the Grenadines charge ahead. Both these teams featured in the prelims in 2021. A 2-0 loss to Guadeloupe for the Bahamas. A 6-1 defeat for St. Vincent and the Grenadines against mighty Haiti in a match that carried far different implications than you'd think. There was contact, but not enough, and Solomon, twisting the ground, plays it right into the waiting hands of Lowe. As it pertains to the prelims, Suriname, Martinique, Curacao, and Grenada will play in the League A slots as third-place finishers. Guadeloupe and Guyana have already secured runner-up finishes in League B, and in League C, Puerto Rico and St. Lucia are through to the preliminary stage. 4 spots remain, including that in this group, as well as League B, Group D, still to be decided. And the winners of Group A and Group B in League C. It means either Guatemala or French Guiana will advance pending the results of their matches today. And then in League C, Bonaire could fall behind St. Martin at the last moment. St. Kitts and Nevis and Aruba carries startling implications. Aruba wins their match tonight against St. Kitts and Nevis, and they will go through, promoted, and sent to the preliminary stage. That should be a tremendous match. It will be played in the capital in St. Kitts and Nevis. And it begins in just a few hours. St. Vincent the Grenadines into the final third once more. This is Stewart. The throw for the home side. Flashing across, too high for low. And unlike the Bahamas, St. Vincent the Grenadines don't get a westerly wind to send that bending into goal. Jazzy Barnum Bob, a wayward cross. Meanwhile, in League A, Mexico is qualified for the finals in the Gold Cup. Jamaica will be in the Gold Cup again. Panama and Costa Rica will both be featuring in the Gold Cup. But tomorrow we'll find out who goes to the Nations League final. Panama has a 1-point lead there. Canada and Honduras have the same quandary. They're on level terms in the standings. They'll meet with Canada holding the goal difference advantage. The United States and El Salvador are just 2 points separated. The U.S. will play El Salvador later tonight to decide who moves on to the final. That'll be played in the United States in Orlando. Ball pushed across, and the header off the Massey corner. High and wide. The Bahamas in pursuit of their second win in this Nations League cycle. Christopher Rahming is a enormous target. He was available in behind, but it's Omari Bain, who's playing in the Spanish 8th Division, plowing that off target. What's also really fascinating, a winner in that Costa Rica match against Panama would put them above Mexico's 8 points. Same can be said for the match between Canada and Honduras, which is to say the United States and Mexico, with a U.S. win and a winner in those 2 aforementioned matches, Honduras and Canada, Panama and Costa Rica. As this clipped across diagonally and too far from Kevin Francis, it could lead to a U.S.-Mexico semifinal in Las Vegas. As the top and 4th ranked teams coming out of the group stage in Nations League. sides just can't get all that far away from one another, can they? Those sides will play in what they're now calling the Continental Classico in April. The U.S. and Mexico, they'll be played in Arizona. Before what could be just 2 months prior, 2 months later from that date, semi-final in Nations League. After all, those are the two nations that defined the opening edition of this competition, and did so with one of the most dramatic games in recent memory in Concacaf. York's going to check on Rowan Davis after the tug from behind by Sherwin Alexander. Davis wins a free kick, and the Bahamas, with about 5 minutes in stoppage time to go, will get a free kick, but not before a pair of changes. Stephen Pierre comes on, the 17-year-old, his second appearance for the senior national team. Francis is done. Gavin Brown, who debuted a few days ago for the national team, enters into the fray. Alex Anderson comes off dynamic, but never outside of the penalty he won, challenging the goalkeeper. Put in play here for the Bahamas, and it's caught above the head by the reserve goalkeeper, Josh Stowe. Brown, the newcomer to the game with an extended leg, got all of Quentin Carey. It's with the Bahamas, who are pushing now for the winner. A stoppage. The Bahamas had one more window to use, 3 subs left. They'll choose to make just one. Nicholas Lopez comes in. Time spent playing for the club team at Northeastern University in Northeastern United States. Native of Freeport, replaces Bain. In behind, recovered by Stowe. You know, there's something to be said in this advent of the 5-sub era. Sometimes you feel like you're leaving something on the table by not utilizing all 5. But if your best 11 is still fit and on the field, sometimes 3 subs, 3 windows is the more righteous outcome. And so the Bahamas have decided in this moment. Lopez in for Romming. He's won a free kick for the Bahamas with 2 minutes and likely a good bit of stoppage time to go. A yellow card. For St. Vincent the Grenadines. York, those studs are exposed. Romming surely grateful that York pulled out of that. St. Fleur. St. Fleur enticing, but not over that first line of Vincey defense. A throw for the Bahamas. If there's a winner to be had, it should be coming in the 90th minute or later now. St. Fleur, the long throw.
Go, Steven. Go, Steven. Go. Go, Steven.
Edwards. Into Brown. Well, smart from Solomon, knew not to follow that. Because Barnum Bob, happy to backstop it. Forward for Stewart, Barnum Bob trying to get end line. Could we see another 3-4 minutes here? It is 4. That's turned over awkwardly.
The fourth official
Dicing through Stewart. Stewart continues, got the shot through now. And Ian Lowe up to the task. 20-year-old Bahamian goalkeeper. The 19-year-old Josh Stowe on the other end.
And number 4, Gavin Brown, into place number 15, Kevin Francis in the 86th.
If that gets through to Pierre, there's a good chance it got cut out by Quentin Carey. It was a smart take by Stewart.
Number 12, Omari Bain in the 88th.
Forward again, Edwards back shot, ricochets over the end line. And the aforementioned Stewart. An injured player for the Bahamas. There was a gesture to the sideline, make a sub. Well, there are none left for the Bahamas.
Hey, Frick, come here when he catch the ball. Go long, why are you putting it on the floor? Yo, second ball, second ball. Yeah. Second ball! 2 minutes on top. 2 minutes on top. Back inside, back inside, back inside. Get it! Right, come on. Call it. Man on your back. Call the ball, Nico.
On to Edwards. Sending Pierre. Pierre kept it in. It's to the benefit of the Bahamas. They clear to the halfway line, and that may set the tone the rest of the way. St. Vincent the Grenadines onto the front foot. Thrown in, Pierre. Onto his fellow substitute, Brown. Another throw for St. Vincent the Grenadines. No threat of relegation, merely a chance to finish in third in this 4-team group in League B Group C. Pirouetting, back heel for Brown. Clearance corralled by Solomon. Upfield from York. Touch was heavy. Brown retains. Rahming. Free kick, St. Vincent and the Grenadines in the final minute now. Everybody being waved forward. St. Vincent and the Grenadines grab the lead. Kyle Edwards from the spot at the hour mark. Marcel Joseph 8 minutes later. A wafting shot or cross bangs off the woodwork and sneaks inside of Josh Stowe. 1-1 with mere seconds remaining. A multitude of set-piece chances for St. Vincent and the Grenadines today. Will the last be their best? Jazzy Barnum Bob. It will not. It's out of play. And it may be just one more kick. That is full time, and the Bahamas have gone away and gotten a point to close out Nations League in Kingstown. They finish in third above St. Vincent and the Grenadines in League B, Group C. And all 4 of their points come at the expense of their final rival. A wild second half. A wonder goal from Marcel Joseph to erase the deficit earned through Kyle Edwards' penalty 60 minutes into the match. And it finishes at full time. St. Vincent and the Grenadines won. The Bahamas won.
Premier Division matches on Friday. Avenues United versus League FC at 6 p.m. And at 8 p.m., Hope International versus Jebel FC. And on Sunday at 5 p.m., Awesome FC versus Lava Heights. And from 7 p.m., Cyan Hill versus North Leeward Predators. We thank you for your support here this afternoon. Once again, to support international football here at the Arnesville Sports Complex. Once again, your final score: the Bahamas 1, St. Vincent and the Grenadines 1.
Young Styles, the Mix Machine.